Alrighty. Welcome back, everyone. I am your moderator for this morning. My name is Brandon Evans. I have two great candidates here with me this morning that I'm going to allow to introduce themselves. We are going to start with Mrs. Toms. 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Evans, and to the League of Women Voters. Thank you for providing this platform for candidates. I'm running for City Council in Pinole. I grew up in Pinole and with my husband, Joe, and we raised our children here. I've been an active member of the community for many years and have been recognized for my community service, including Contra Costa County Woman of the Year for the 5th Congressional District, Community Service Award for from Pinole Chamber of Commerce, a Community Service Award from the Rotary Club, a Batter Up Award from Contra Costa County ARC, and a 2-time Parent Award recipient from the Pinole Seals Swim Club. I also received the You Make a Difference Award from the West Contra Costa County, West Contra Costa Unified School District. I have brought my experience to the community by serving as a volunteer in many organizations, including the Pinole City Council, MCE Clean Energy, as a board member and as a board member alternate, the Cal Cities Environmental Quality Committee, and the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee for Cal Cities. I've been on the Planning Commission, the Redevelopment Oversight Board, and the Bond Oversight Board for our local school district. I've also served on the Redistricting Committee and School Site Council and Reconstruction Committee for several of the bond projects here in Pinole. I'm currently a Special Olympics coach, and prior to that, I was a Little League Challenger Division Coordinator for over 10 years, serving people with disabilities. And but I bring a wealth of experience and deep community roots to my candidacy for Pinole City Council, with a background in land use planning and extensive involvement in local organizations. I'm well positioned to address a wide range of issues facing the city, and my achievements and recognitions in community services highlight my dedication and effectiveness in serving the public. My involvement in various committees and boards, from environmental quality to economic development, underscore my commitment to comprehensive community development and sustainability. Key elements of my platform include maintaining and improving city services within our budget constraints and strategic use of revenue and grant funding to leverage my expertise in land use planning and growth.
Thank you, Mrs. Lam-Julian. 3 minutes.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay. I was like, oh my goodness, but a little thing popped up on my screen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christy Lam-Julian. I am a proud first-generation Vietnamese American, a neurodiverse parent to an 8-year-old with autism. I have committed significant time and energy in advocating for marginalized communities throughout my life. At 18, I was one of the youngest shop stewards and helped unionize downtown San Jose. I then had the opportunity of working with Teamsters International, and we were able to advocate for an equitable wage and maintain health benefits for employees in Monterey, California. I have a business degree, business management degree, marketing and management, and I am a classically trained chef. I get to have the pleasure of just making meals for people and connecting people through food, overcoming just economical social, and just really bringing people together with the plate of food every day brings me joy. I founded East Bay United Against Hate in 2021 in response to the uptick of harm from the pandemic, really providing a safe space for community members to come together, have open, honest conversations, heal, celebrate our cultures, and just really making a safe space to go ahead and really uplift voices and grow and kind of bring the community together. From my work there, I was able to partner with the California Office of Civil Rights and helped create the California versus Hate program, which is a free program funded by the state of California, where community members can call 811, report a hate incident or a hate crime, or just people just not doing making good choices, and they will actually have a live person to be with them, to connect them to social services, mental health services, legal services if need be, and if they needed to connect with police officers, they feel comfortable, they would be able to have that opportunity as well. And then we have translators, I believe at last time I checked, over 12 different languages represented to really just dive in and support the community at large. I was appointed to the Community Service Commission last year. Oh dear, I looked at the time. And I have been able to go ahead and create opportunities for.
You can finish your statement, Ms. Lam-Julian. Just disregard that. Yeah, finish your statement.
Just I've had a wonderful opportunity really giving back, and I feel it's a true calling to utilize my education, my lived experience, my practical experience to really give back to Pinole and uplift our community, and heal and just thrive and just reach our next best selves. Thank you.
Thank you. Going right back to you, Ms. Lam-Julian. First question, what is the single most important issue facing Pinole?
I'm just gonna write that down. Just
Yes, of course.
I feel the most single pressing issue that Pinole is facing is just the elephant in the room is the financial situation. Our landscape is looking a little bumpy, and we're going to have that conversation again, and it will have a deep impact on, again, deferring maintenance to our properties, our programs, our services, and that in turn deeply affecting our community as well, heavily impacting marginalized community members that are struggling on the financial front, and having them have to resort to going to other municipalities for supports and services, and possibly leaving Pinole, which would then further weaken Pinole's financial future. And it circles back around to the communication piece. As the treasurers before stated, we have a new city manager, and there has been a lot of change in leadership, and just change with life in general. It makes people uncomfortable, distrustful, unsure of just what their future looks like here in Pinole and just at large, and if Pinole would be able to support them. So I feel that circles back around to the financial situation. If community members are concerned if we are going to be able to pay for our things. The fire station 74 is a big topic here with emergency preparedness. We are in fire season. We are in earthquake country. The California budget is doing what it's doing. Lots of cuts all the way around, and the community is very concerned about our financial stability and just really the transparency and open communication between the city and the community.
Sorry about that. Ms. Toms, same question. What is the single most important issue facing Pinole?
The most important issue facing Pinole, again, is our budget. We have right-sized our employee salaries in the last couple of years and addressed wages to reflect the cost of living, and also so that we can be competitive and retain staff. But unfortunately, that the revenue has not grown at the same pace. Our property tax revenue, it typically grows at about 2% per year, but when inflation is at a much higher rate, something's got to give. And this year, we have dipped into our reserves to address the budget shortfall, but long term, that's not going to sustain us. So Measure I is going to be a short term solution to our budget woes. But long term, we have issues related to health care and retirement, CalPERS, and again, retaining staff. The biggest chunk of our budget goes to public safety, whether it's police or fire. That's going to be the biggest chunk of our budget. And currently, we have an influx of revenue from Measure X to help us with Station 74. But for the long term, we want to be able to sustain that. Really, it's providing services to the community. When I say budget, I mean that falls into recreational services and street maintenance and all of, everything that encompasses as well.
Thank you. Right back at you, Mrs. Toms. If elected to the city council, how will you address affordable housing?
I actually work in this space of affordable housing, both as a volunteer and in my 30 years as a land use planner. I was the project manager for the housing element being created for unincorporated Contra Costa County. So I have been working with the state on different programs that could serve for affordable housing. And when I say affordable housing, it's not just restricted affordable housing, it's all income levels. I got involved with a group several years ago when a charter school was looking at building a new campus in Pinole on a site where Pinole had designated over 130 units of housing, and we were able to get their application withdrawn. And they ultimately sold the property, and now it's undergoing development. I'm also working with a group on educator workforce housing, doing that as part of my day job, but also it's a passion that I have that will continue, as my volunteer experience. So, we as this in the city can promote affordable housing with, some of our vacant, underutilized property and encourage those to get developed. We can budget funds that are strictly for affordable housing through our housing successor funding program. And then also working on accessory dwelling units for individuals. It's a really good way to address affordable housing in single family neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Lam-Julian, same question. If elected to the city council, how will you address affordable housing?
Thank you so much. I currently serve on the Pinole Planning Commission. And I have had long talks with our city planner regarding this topic. It is personal to me, coming from a first generation immigrant family, just understanding what that is like being on that side of the spectrum. I would definitely go ahead and bring back to the table to council to complete their real estate master plan, so we have a clear picture of the properties that Pinole sits on, and we would be able to see where we can go ahead and develop and do smart build outs. We could go ahead and to be able to fully maximize all of our properties in Pinole that we are sitting on. By also completing the real estate master plan, we would be able to reach out to developers to kind of test the waters to see what properties and what developments that they are wanting to build out. I definitely want to go ahead and lean into the mixed use zoning that we have here in Pinole that could be looked at as other streams of revenue for affordable housing. I would also encourage the city and put forth a rent control ordinance as being able to put a cap. I understand right now that the state has a 10% cap, but just if we were to go ahead and control that and take that control power back into the city and safeguard our renters right now, getting them to stay, and then having other properties being able to lean into that as well. And then definitely lean into the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a lot of money. We need to be more aggressive with our grant writers in reaching out to get those dollars to be able to go ahead and build out affordable housing and lean into specifically senior affordable housing, as they are one of our most marginalized community members struggling with affordable housing right now. Thank you. Oh, did it go off?
You're perfect. We're going to start right back with you, Mrs. Lam-Julian. How will you improve safety for city residents? I can repeat that if you need. How will you improve safety for city residents?
Thank you. Safety, depending on who you talk to, means different things, right? Just for me, just financial safety, making sure that our city is going to be around in the long term. So again, I would just, if anything, make sure that we are doing an internal audit to make sure that we are not missing opportunities, and that we are making sure we're maximizing our dollars. And from my work from finding the United Against Hate here in the East Bay, safety was the reason why we started to be able to create a safe space for our residents to have conversations and to work it through. To improve it at the dais, I would encourage the city to go ahead and have more town halls, get out into the community, work with nonprofit CBOs that are doing the work right now in the county, and open up those spaces. We can definitely open up the senior center and maximize those spaces so then people can meet and have these conversations and heal through the trauma. I would definitely look into our revenue and making sure that we're bringing in businesses so we can generate the revenues to be able to ensure that we have a long-term plan to pay for maintaining Fire Station 74 and other first responders. Improve safety. So for responders, being able to pay for that. I would go and definitely enhance the public works and the community service programs. I submitted when I was as commissioner for the community service, I presented a year worth of robust programming to bring the people out to community events.
Thank you, Ms. Lam-Julian, for that response. Mrs. Toms, how will you improve safety for city residents?
Sure. First and foremost is to make sure we can retain a budget that can pay for our public safety employees, and also retain our contract that we have with Fire to keep both Station 74 open and staffed, but also staffing 73. Our police department has been doing a really good job on community policing, and that is a way that helps residents connect with the police officers and know what services are available. We also need to, I think we need to advertise some of the new services that are coming out as a result of Measure X, and that's countywide for mental health, especially. Another area that I have worked, that I have been pushing is to work on our emergency operations center plans. We have not done that. We haven't kept up on all of the training that's available, and especially since we have identified, a number of hazards that we are subject to in Pinole, including, earthquake. We have the high fire severity zone that is Pinole Ridge. Uh, you know, we, we're near two major refineries, and so we need to work with our community on how we respond to emergencies and work better with the Office of Emergency Service and train up our staff and also train our citizens through some of the programs that are available to help them respond in case of an emergency. So safety is across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Right back at you, Mrs. Toms. How can we increase economic development in Pinole?
Sure. Good question. First and foremost, we need to support the businesses that we have here. That's going to depend on getting customers downtown, and in the other shopping areas, encouraging people to come from outside of Pinole to visit restaurants, to visit other retail establishments, and making sure that people feel safe when they come up to Fitzgerald Shopping Center, or can walk around safely because we have good pedestrian access downtown. And then the other piece of it is to encourage the use of both vacant buildings and also vacant land for development of commercial and retail uses. Special events such as movie night or music night, or, we've talked about having a, pop-up kind of a food events. Those also will help both people from Pinole and from people outside the area to come and visit Pinole and see what we have to offer. I know a business owner on San Pablo Avenue that says that the car show day is their best day of the entire year. We can't do that every weekend, but what that does is it brings people to Pinole so that they can think about Pinole as being a choice the next time that they're thinking about going out to eat or going, to visit a retail establishment.
Thank you, Mrs. Toms. Mrs. Lam-Julian, how can we increase economic development in Pinole? I can read that one more time. How can we increase economic development in Pinole?
Thank you. So just circling back to ways that we can go ahead increase economic development, leaning into my background and my practical experience as being a small business owner. What the city can do is really lean into the small businesses that we have right here, right now. Free marketing would be to go ahead and highlight and just even have a directory of a complete listing of all the small businesses that we have here in Pinole. There's 115. 60% of them are women owned and minority owned. And if we offered this free kind of space on the city's website, it would drive traffic in. So folks checking in for city council meetings and just what have you, just to check out, to see, they would be able to go ahead and have a space to see what other businesses are in town. This free advertising would definitely help small businesses as well, and partner up with the small businesses during celebration weeks. What was it, tomorrow is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month. The city could do something such as highlighting our Hispanic owned small businesses to go ahead and lift up these communities and get more eyes on them and get more traction that way for them. I would definitely lean into the community engagement plan that the city had a consultant complete, and it laid out ways that the city can enhance our ways of engaging with our community through the different platforms, and just really enhancing it and just giving ownership to the city to be able to lean into that. I think by completing the recommendations by the consultant, that would definitely help coalesce the businesses here in town, as well as streamline the appearance of Pinole to outside businesses as well. And then I would definitely go ahead and maximize our business association, and if anything, leaning into one specifically for Pinole to go ahead and bring the business together. I'm sorry, Zoom is doing something weird on my screen. But being able to go ahead and highlight and support small businesses in Pinole, strengthen them, and kind of pooling all of our resources together to be able to get a further reach. Some businesses have a strong following on Instagram. Maybe if we did a partnership, I know we can definitely lean into the different platforms that the city has. And then also with the real estate master plan that is not complete, I would strongly encourage that we complete that, so we do have a clear picture of where Pinole sits at right now with our vacant lots or underused facilities, and just where can we go ahead and grow and glean that information to maximize that out. And again, leaning into the mixed use zoning that we have, where we could have affordable housing on top, we can have a small business incubator workstation that other municipalities have. Leaning into my partnerships that I have established on the Women and Girls Commission with the county and Developmental Disabilities Council with the county, as well as being a fellow for Barbara Jordan, leaning into and just getting out of the silo mentality and making friends with other municipalities, and just leaning into how we can go ahead and
Okay, Mrs. Lam-Julian, coming right back at you for the final question. After this, we will have our 2-minute closing remarks. Do you support Measure I? Question again is, do you support Measure I?
So that is, if anything, a tricky question. If anything, I feel that it is an opportunity for us to generate revenue for Pinole, right? Because we are going to be short. We're not going to be able to pay for our things. I do feel that it is one of part of a multi-pronged attack that Pinole can do to go ahead and generate revenue. I do hear from the community that they are concerned that this is another increase in taxes, that money is already tight. Families that were kind of on the fence are leaning to now living paycheck to paycheck. Childcare, the childcare credits have gone away, so childcare has skyrocketed for a lot of families. Groceries, gas, you name it, to where they are concerned, to where they're thinking that this might not be their forever home and they would have to go somewhere else. Also taking into consideration, this would be the last time that Pinole would be able to do a sales increase. And it's just, do we want to go ahead and shoot our shot here? Do we exercise our full, do we do all of our homework and reach out and research all of the different avenues to go ahead and generate some extra revenue? Just, I don't think, again with Zoom, I'm sorry. I think that we should just we should go back to the drawing table, that there are other avenues, that this is not going to really be helpful to the working class families here right now that are really struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, and that we can find another option. And then we can just, if anything, going back to customer service and my business background, we just need to get more creative and just aggressive.
Thank you for that response, Mrs. Lam-Julian. Same question, Mrs. Toms. Do you support Measure I?
Yes, I do support Measure I. I do know that it's going to put us in the highest sales tax bracket of our area. We're going to be up the same sales tax as El Cerrito, but we did go through a pretty exhaustive uh, uh, um, report as far as what are different ways that we can develop revenue. We looked at a real estate transfer tax, which would impact affordable housing for new property owners and would also severely impact seniors moving out of their homes that might have to go to the next stage of, long-term care. So, and we've looked at other revenue enhancements and found that this would be a revenue enhancement that wouldn't necessarily hit only Pinole residents. We have a substantial retail area where we get a lot of regional customers coming in. And so they would also help to contribute to our sales tax pot. We have to remember that, food is not taxed. So, I do want to recognize that the cost will be higher for a number of people, but it's not going to, you know, uh, impact, people in their groceries for non-taxable items. We probably will have to look at some other ways to balance our budget in the future because the long-term uh, budget, this isn't going to solve all of it. So, it's a multi-pronged approach, including this measure, which I do support.
Thank you, Mrs. Toms. We're going to go right back to you for your 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you. Let me just get to something here. I have a lot of experience in city government and in government in general. For 31 years, I have been a land use planner for Contra Costa County, dealing with all different areas of community development, anywhere from clean energy projects to affordable housing projects and uh, economic development and transit-oriented development. All of that experience translates very nicely into serving on the Pinole City Council. Um, I have a bachelor's degree in geography and environmental studies, and also have a certificate from USC in development, real estate development. So again, all of that experience and that education do translate. My jobs as assigned, also working in my day job, is that I'm the plan section chief for the Office of Emergency Services when we activate during an emergency. And we have done that during COVID. We've done that during, the winter storms and the public safety power shutoffs. So I do understand where Pinole is currently and where we need to be in our response to an emergency. I am asking for support so that I can serve another 4 years on the Pinole City Council. And I want to also thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Toms. Mrs. Lam-Julian, your 2-minute closing statement.
Okay, we're gonna try this again. I was recently appointed to the Women and Girls Commission for the county. For those that are not familiar with this commission, our sole purpose is to look to advocate on ways to improve the quality of life for women, femme, and girls in our community. And then I was also appointed to the Developmental Disability Council for the county. And on that seat, what we do is we advocate for the improvement and growth of services and support for individuals with developmental disabilities and their families. I am also a proud Barbara Jordan Dolores Huerta Fellow. This is a leadership program named after an amazing political trailblazer and a civil rights icon. And our mission is to reduce barriers for civic engagement. I'm also a proud alumnus of New American Leaders, the only program in the U.S. dedicated to enhancing opportunities for first and second generation immigrants. Democracy thrives when diverse voices are heard and represented, and I feel that with my background, my experience, my education, my extensive community service, that I bring a perspective to the dais that is not currently being represented, and just a fresh approach to solving some of the problems of the city. Just looking at it from being able to look at it as a business owner, of just looking about how do we go ahead and drive the economic development? What partnerships can we glean from it? And my long history of being in customer service is just, okay, so how do we go ahead and increase communication with the community to bring their perspective to the table as well?
Thank you guys for dealing with that elevator music. But I just want to thank both of our candidates for being here with this morning. I want to say good luck to both of you. Great responses, great insight, and hope to see you around town soon.